Night falls on London, not as silence, but as a blanket under which something stirs. The lanterns burn dimly. Their light drowns in the fog, like screams in the narrow alleys. You walk home. The footsteps echo too loudly. And suddenly, it seems that someone is following you. You don't see faces. You only see shadows. Long, slow, patient. In this city, night doesn't disappear by chance. Here, it disappears forever. A hand may appear from the fog, a voice may whisper your name, and a lantern may fall onto the pavement, leaving you in complete darkness. You quicken your pace, but the city is faster. Because London in 1880 doesn't sleep, it hunts. And if you heard footsteps behind you, maybe it's not just night anymore. When the city turns its back. London, 1880. Night does not arrive suddenly here. It seeps in. It gathers first in the narrow places, between brick walls damp with the day's breath, under stairways that have not seen daylight in years, along alleys where even footsteps hesitate before entering. By the time the gas lamps are lit, the city has already changed. The daytime London, loud, impatient, crowded, withdraws behind closed doors and drawn curtains. What remains outside is quieter, slower, and far more attentive. The fog begins its work early. Not the dramatic fog of stories, but the real kind. Heavy, wet, clinging to coats and eyelashes, softening the edges of everything it touches. Buildings lose their corners. Streets forget where they lead. And people become shapes. A man walking alone does not notice it at first. No one ever does. He leaves behind the last main road, the clatter of carriage wheels fading into the distance. His boots strike the cobblestones with a rhythm he knows well, steady, unremarkable, reassuring. Tap, tap, tap. He has walked this way dozens of times before, perhaps hundreds. Tonight feels no different, at least not yet. The lamp at the corner flickers as he passes beneath it. Its light falls unevenly, painting his face for a brief moment. Tired eyes, a jaw unshaven, the look of someone thinking not of danger, but of supper, of warmth, of sleep. The light fades behind him. The fog closes the space. Tap, tap. Somewhere nearby, water drips. A slow, patient sound, like counting. London at night listens. The man adjusts his coat, pulling it tighter. The air has grown colder, though the hour has not changed. It is not the cold that troubles him, but the quiet. Not silence. London is never silent. This is something else, a kind of waiting. He becomes aware of his breathing, of how loud it sounds in his own ears, of how the fog seems to swallow the sound before it travels far. Then, another sound. Not close, not yet. A footstep. It does not match his rhythm. It comes just after. Tap, tap. He tells himself it is nothing. Another man on his way home. A coincidence of timing. London is full of men walking alone at night. Men who believe themselves unseen. The fog thickens as the street narrows. Windows here are dark, their glass opaque with grime and age. No light leaks out. No voices drift through the walls. If he were to call out now, he is not certain anyone would hear. Tap, tap. The second step comes again, closer this time, still behind him. He slows, just slightly. So slightly he barely notices he has done it. The sound behind him slows as well. His shoulders tighten. This is how it begins. Not with violence, not with screams, with awareness, with the realization that the night has noticed you. He considers turning around, only considers it. Something deep inside him, older than thought, suggests that seeing may make things worse. Another lamp appears ahead, its glow dim and yellow, struggling against the fog like a weak heartbeat. He fixes his gaze on it, measuring the distance. 20 steps, perhaps. Tap, tap. The space between the footsteps has shortened, no longer delayed, almost synchronized. He walks faster now, not running, not yet. Running would mean panic. Running would mean confirmation. London does not require confirmation. The street bends slightly to the left, and for a moment the lamp disappears behind the curve. The darkness feels heavier without it, as if the city has leaned closer. A thought comes to him, sudden, unwanted. People vanish here. Not in the way newspapers describe, not dramatically. They simply stop arriving. A room stays empty. A chair remains unused. A name is spoken less often. Tap. Tap. The sound is almost beside him now. He stops. The footsteps stop as well. The fog hangs motionless, as if holding its breath. Slowly, very slowly, he turns his head. There is nothing there. Only the street behind him, stretching back into pale obscurity. The lamp he passed moments ago is a blurred halo, its light diffused into meaninglessness. No figure, no movement. He exhales, a shaky sound he had not realized he was holding. A foolish fear, he tells himself, a tired mind playing tricks. He turns forward again, and freezes. The lamp ahead has gone out, not flickered, not dimmed. Gone. The darkness in front of him is complete, a solid thing now, unbroken by light. The fog presses closer. Behind him, something shifts. Not a footstep this time. Closer. Lower. A breath. Not his own. The man does not scream. Most do not. His body reacts before his mind does. A sharp intake of air, a jerk of the shoulders, muscles tightening as if to pull away from an invisible hook. A hand emerges from the fog. It is gloved, dark leather, worn smooth with use. It closes around his arm with practiced certainty. The grip is firm, not frantic, not cruel, efficient. Another shape moves closer, just beyond sight. A voice murmurs something, low, indistinct, words meant not to be understood, only obeyed. The man stumbles, his boots scraping against the stones. The street seems suddenly narrower, the walls closer than they were moments ago. He tries to speak. A second hand appears, pressing firmly against his mouth. The fog absorbs the sound. Somewhere, far away, a carriage passes. Laughter drifts briefly through the air, then fades. The city continues. When the lamp finally flares back to life, minutes later perhaps, the street is empty. No sign of struggle, no mark upon the stones. Only the fog moving slowly on and the sense that something has been removed. London does not acknowledge the absence. It rarely does. This is how the night works. Not with chaos, but with precision. Not with noise, but with patience. And this is only the beginning. Because for every street that notices, there are dozens more waiting their turn. And for every man who disappears, there are many who believe they will not be next. London lets them believe that. For a while. Streets that learn your name. By morning, London pretends nothing happened. The fog thins, the lamps are extinguished. Shop shutters rise with their familiar groan. Carts rattle across the bridges. Voices return to the streets. The city breathes again. But somewhere, Behind a locked door, a chair remains empty. A plate cools untouched. A coat hangs where its owner will never reach for it again. No one calls the police. Not yet. In 1880, London is a city that understands absence. It has learned not to ask too many questions. Men leave for work and never return. Children wander too far and are not found. Women take the long way home and vanish into the folds of the city. And the streets remember. They remember footsteps. They remember routines. They remember who walks alone. Because London is not only built of brick and smoke, it is built of patterns. A butcher who closes his shop at the same hour each night. A dock worker who drinks at the same public house. A seamstress who cuts through the same alley to save 10 minutes. The city watches them all, not with eyes, with repetition. And repetition is how predators hunt. The missing man is named Thomas Hale, 36 years old, dock laborer, unmarried. He rents a narrow room above a baker's shop near Wapping, a room just wide enough for a bed, a chair, and a small washstand, a window that looks directly into a brick wall. No one hears him leave on the night he disappears. No one hears him return. By the second morning, the baker notices the untouched bread. By the third, the landlady grows uneasy. By the fourth, his name is spoken quietly over tea. By the fifth, it is no longer spoken at all. London has moved on, but the street where Thomas vanished has not. It remembers the sound of his boots. It remembers how he walked faster near the end. It remembers the way he hesitated under the lamp. And now, when others pass that same corner, they feel something they cannot explain. A pressure behind the eyes, a tightening of the chest, a sense that they are being measured. They do not know why they quicken their pace, they only know that they should. Inspector William Ashcroft does not believe in ghosts. He does not believe in curses. He does not believe in haunted streets or wicked fog. He believes in men. Men with habits. Men with hunger. Men with patience. And he has seen what men can do in the dark. Ashcroft has worked the East End for 15 years, long enough to know which streets turn dangerous after sunset, long enough to recognize fear in the way people walk. He stands now at the corner where Thomas Hale was last seen. The lamp overhead sways slightly in the breeze. Its light flickers against the brickwork. Ashcroft studies the ground. No blood, no torn cloth, no sign of struggle. That, more than anything, troubles him. Too clean, he mutters. A constable beside him shifts uncomfortably. Maybe he just left, sir. Ashcroft glances at the alley. It is narrow. Too narrow for two men to pass without brushing shoulders. The walls are damp, streaked with soot and age. No, Ashcroft says quietly. He was taken. The word hangs in the air. Taken. Not robbed. Not killed. Removed. The constable swallows. By who, sir? Ashcroft does not answer, because the truth is worse. This is not the first disappearance. It is not the 5th. It is not even the 10th. But it is the first on this street. And streets do not change their nature without reason. Ashcroft walks slowly down the alley. Each step echoes. The sound feels too loud. He imagines the scene. A man walking home, tired and careless, the moment of realization, the sudden loss of space. There is nowhere to run here. At the far end of the alley, a heavy wooden door is set into the brick. Its paint is peeling. The lock is new. Ashcroft stops in front of it. He does not touch it. Some instincts do not need proof. The constable clears his throat. "Sir, there's talk." "Talk spreads faster than truth," Ashcroft replies, but he listens. "They say men are being sold." Ashcroft turns slowly. "Sold where?" The constable shrugs. "To ships, to factories, to places that don't ask questions." Ashcroft looks back at the door. The new lock gleams faintly. London is the heart of an empire. It feeds on labor. It consumes bodies. And someone, somewhere, has learned how to supply it. That night, the fog returns. Not thick, not dramatic, just enough. Just enough to blur faces, just enough to hide intentions, just enough to make footsteps uncertain. On another street, not far from where Thomas vanished, a young woman leaves a laundry after dark. Her name is Eleanor Price. She is 17. She walks quickly, her shawl pulled tight around her shoulders. The air smells of coal smoke and wet stone. Her mother warned her not to take this route, but the longer road means passing the docks, and the docks are full of men. This alley is quieter. She hears a sound behind her. She does not turn. She has learned better. Her pace quickens, so does the sound. Her heart begins to count her steps. 1, 2, 3. A shadow stretches across the wall beside her, longer than it should be. She reaches the corner. A hand closes around her wrist. She screams. The fog swallows it. A second hand clamps over her mouth. The street does not intervene. It has already learned her name. London does not sleep. It watches. It waits. And when the pattern is right, it opens its hands. Where the missing go. London has many doors. Most of them are meant to be seen. Shop fronts with polished glass, townhouse entrances with brass handles, factory gates that open and close with the rhythm of the working day. But there are other doors, doors without signs, doors without numbers, doors that do not welcome, they receive. They are hidden in alleys that smell of rot and damp wool, set into brickwork blackened by a century of smoke, painted over so many times they no longer resemble wood. These doors do not creak. They do not announce themselves. They swallow. Eleanor Price wakes in darkness. Not complete darkness, but the kind that tells you there is space around you. Air moves. Somewhere, water drips. Somewhere else, something breathes. Her head aches. Her wrists burn. She tries to move. Rope bites into her skin. The floor beneath her is not stone. It is wood, rough, splintered. She draws a breath to scream. A voice speaks before she can. Don't. The word is calm, not cruel. It comes from nearby. Save your strength. Her eyes adjust slowly. Shapes emerge. She is not alone. There are others in the room. Men, women, a boy who cannot be older than 12. All sitting against the wall. All bound. All silent. A lantern hangs from a beam overhead, its flame turned low, just enough to keep them visible. The walls are close. The ceiling low. This is not a cellar. This is something older. Eleanor swallows. "Where are we?" she whispers. No one answers. Not because they do not know, but because knowing does not help. A door opens somewhere beyond the room. Boots on wood. Slow. Measured. The steps of a man who is not in a hurry. The boy begins to cry. No one tries to stop him. The footsteps stop outside the door. A key turns. The lock opens. The door swings inward. Light spills into the room. Not warm light. Work light. Two men enter. They wear plain coats, dark caps pulled low. Neither looks at the captives. They consult a ledger. Names are called, one by one. Each time a name is spoken, someone stands. Someone walks. Someone disappears through the door. The ledger does not pause. When Eleanor's name is called, her legs shake so badly she nearly falls. One of the men grips her arm, not roughly, firmly, like a man handling cargo. She is led down a corridor. It smells of oil and iron. She passes other doors, other rooms, other lanterns, other people. None of them speak. They reach a staircase. It descends, farther than she expects. Step after step after step. The air grows colder, damp. The sound of water grows louder. At the bottom, another door, heavier, reinforced. It opens into a long chamber. Rows of benches, chains fixed into the walls, men working with tools, forging, sharpening, repairing. A factory without windows, without time. This is not a prison. This is a workshop, and the product is people. Inspector Ashcroft stands on the Thames embankment and watches the ships. They come and go endlessly. Cargo vessels, passenger steamers, coal barges, each one hungry, each one needing hands. The river carries everything: goods, waste, men. Ashcroft knows now where the missing go. The rumors have aligned. The witnesses agree. The patterns are too clean to ignore. There are men in this city who specialize in procurement. They do not kill. They deliver. Factories in Manchester, mines in Wales, plantations overseas. The empire does not ask where its labor comes from, only that it arrives. Ashcroft watches a ship being loaded. Crates, barrels, and between them, groups of men walking in silence. Too orderly, too controlled. No laughter, no shouting, no freedom. Their eyes are empty. Their wrists are bruised. The constable beside him whispers, "They say some never see daylight again." Ashcroft nods. "They are erased," he says. "Not buried, not mourned, just removed." The ship's horn sounds. The gangplank is raised. The ropes are cast off. The vessel pulls away from the dock. London exhales. Another shipment complete. Back in the underground chamber, Eleanor is given a number. Not a name, a number. She is fed thin soup, given water, not out of kindness, out of necessity. A weak body is bad merchandise. She watches as others are taken away. Some return. Most do not. The boy is gone by morning. The man who warned her not to scream is gone by night. The benches grow emptier. The chains grow quieter. The room learns her shape. The floor remembers her feet. The door remembers her face. And somewhere above, the street continues as if nothing lies beneath it. Carriages roll past. Shops close. Families eat supper. London does not hear her breathing. It does not hear her prayers. It does not hear the sound of its own machinery, because London is very good at forgetting. But some doors remember, and some men do not look away. The men who trade in silence. There are markets in London that never close. They do not advertise. They do not ring bells. They do not shout their prices. They trade in whispers, in looks, in nods exchanged beneath the shadow of warehouses. They operate in the pauses between law and order, in the blind spots of the empire, and their most valuable commodity is silence. The man called Crow never gives his first name. No one asks for it. He wears good boots and a plain coat. Nothing that would draw attention. Nothing that would invite memory. He smells faintly of tobacco and oil. Crow does not hunt. He does not kidnap. He does not touch the cargo. He organizes. At dawn, he drinks tea in a quiet room near the docks. By noon, he reviews manifests. By night, he balances accounts. His ledger is thick, not with names, but with destinations. Liverpool, Cardiff, Hull, Bristol. From there, the sea takes them. Crow sits at a narrow desk under a gas lamp and writes. 14 men, ironworks. 9 women, textile mills. 3 boys, coal. 6 unskilled, outbound. No emotion, no pause. He closes the book and locks it in a drawer. Outside, a foghorn moans on the river. The warehouse on Blackwell Street appears abandoned. Its windows are boarded, its doors chained. But behind the boards, lanterns burn. Inside, men wait. Crow arrives just after sunset. The lock is opened from within. He steps inside. The air smells of sweat and damp rope. Rows of people sit on the floor. Some stare at nothing. Some stare at him. None speak. A foreman approaches. 28 tonight. Crow nods. Any trouble? 2 tried to run. And? They won't try again. Crow does not ask how. He walks the rows. He checks wrists, teeth, shoulders. He is not cruel. He is professional. This one's weak, he says, pointing to a man with sunken eyes. He'll last a week. Then ship him first. The foreman makes a mark. A woman near the wall clutches her shawl tighter. Crow stops in front of her. She does not look up. Name? He asks. She hesitates. Eleanor. He writes a number. Names are for families. Numbers are for transport. Inspector Ashcroft studies shipping records. Not official ones, the other ones. The ledgers kept by dockhands. The notes passed between clerks. The numbers that never appear on customs forms. He traces routes. Patterns emerge. Always at night. Always through the same 5 warehouses. Always under the same 3 shipping agents. Crow's name appears twice. That is enough. Ashcroft knows better than to move openly. These men do not fight back. They disappear you. He walks the docks at night. He listens. Men talk when they think no one is watching, especially when they drink. A stevedore mutters, "Cargo screams sometimes." A clerk says, "They come in tied, they leave quiet." A sailor laughs, "London eats its own." Ashcroft writes everything down. He does not sleep much anymore. Back underground, Eleanor learns the rules. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not look at the guards. Do not ask where you are going. The chains come off only when they move you, and when they move you, it is never alone. She watches a man collapse during roll call. The foreman kicks him. No response. 2 guards drag him away. He does not come back. She hears trains at night. Not above, below. Tunnels, hidden lines. London is hollow. Crow signs another manifest. The empire demands more. Factories expand. Ships multiply. Mines deepen. London provides. He adjusts his gloves. Next shipment leaves at midnight, he says. How many? 35. Any special orders? 2 girls, red hair, for the mill owner in Leeds. Crow pauses. He looks at Eleanor. She does not look up. Make it 3, he says. London continues. Children play in daylight. Church bells ring. Markets open. The streets wash themselves clean with rain. And beneath them, the trade moves on. Quietly, relentlessly. Because in this city, if no one hears you scream, you are already gone. The tunnels beneath the Thames. The Thames does not only divide London, it connects it. Above the water, ships pass in endless procession, their hulls heavy with cargo, their decks crowded with men who do not ask questions. But beneath the river, another world exists, a world of brick and iron, of dripping walls and echoing footsteps, of tracks that do not appear on any public map. The tunnels were built for freight, for coal, for machinery. And then someone realized something else could be moved there too, quietly. The entrance is hidden behind a brewery, a false wall, a door disguised as storage. It opens only at night. 2 guards stand watch. Not soldiers, not policemen. Men who have been paid to forget what they see. When the door opens, warm brewery air escapes into the cold street. The smell of yeast mixes with damp stone. Below, a staircase descends into darkness. Oil lamps line the walls. The tunnels stretch away in both directions. Arched ceilings of blackened brick, rails disappearing into shadow. Carts stand waiting. Wooden, reinforced. No windows. Crow walks the platform with his hands clasped behind his back. The foreman checks his watch. First train in 10 minutes. Crow nods. They ready? Sedated. Crow allows himself a thin smile. Sedated cargo does not resist. Eleanor is woken by the guards. No shouting, no urgency, just hands on shoulders. Up. She stands. Her legs tremble. The chains are removed. She is led through corridors she has never seen before. Down ramps, through iron doors. The air changes. Cooler, metallic. She hears something far away. A deep vibration. A roar that comes and goes. A train. They reach the platform. She blinks against the lamplight. The tunnel feels endless. Rows of carts stand waiting. Inside them, bodies lie still. Men, women, breathing. She is guided toward an empty cart. She sees the straps. The foreman speaks. Easy now. A needle touches her neck. The world tilts. The ceiling drifts away. The lamps stretch into streaks of gold. The last thing she hears is the sound of wheels on rail. Inspector Ashcroft follows a dock worker, not openly, from a distance. The man leaves his shift and walks toward the breweries. Ashcroft keeps to the shadows. The dock worker stops, looks around, knocks on a wall. A section of brick slides inward. Ashcroft's heart quickens. The man disappears inside. Ashcroft waits, then follows. The door closes behind him. The sound of the city vanishes. Below, the tunnel breathes. The rails gleam faintly. A cart rolls past. Inside it, shapes lie unmoving. A foreman shouts orders. Men push cargo. Ashcroft presses himself into an alcove. Crow passes within arm's reach. They lock eyes for a fraction of a second. Crow does not react. He does not need to. Ashcroft knows. He has been seen. The whistle blows. The train begins to move. Carts rattle forward, one by one, vanishing into the tunnel. Ashcroft steps out. "Stop that train!" he shouts. The foreman laughs. The guards draw their clubs. Crow turns calmly. "You're in the wrong place, Inspector." Ashcroft reaches for his revolver. A blow catches him across the jaw. He falls. The tunnel spins. The last thing he sees is the red lantern at the end of the train disappearing into darkness. The Thames flows on, unaware. Above the water, couples stroll. Street vendors pack up for the night. The city hums. Below, the train runs, carrying men who will never return, carrying women who will forget their names, carrying children who will learn new ones. London does not look down. It never has. The ship without a manifest. Every ship that leaves London is supposed to carry a story, a destination, a purpose, a record. Its cargo is weighed, counted, declared. Its captain signs papers. Its crew logs every crate. But there are ships that sail without stories. They take on cargo after midnight. They depart before dawn. They do not linger at port. Their holds are sealed, their decks are quiet, and their manifests are always blank. The harbor calls them ghosts. The Mercy of Albion lies at berth 14. Black hull, no ornamentation, no company markings. A working vessel, the kind no one remembers seeing twice. Crow arrives just after 1 in the morning. The gangplank is already down. Lanterns burn low. The dock is nearly empty. Only the crew remains, men who do not speak to strangers and do not ask what is being loaded. The carts arrive from the tunnel one by one, pulled by horses whose eyes have learned not to look. The cargo is transferred quickly, bodies lifted, strapped, lowered into the hold. No shouting, no confusion, just procedure. Crow checks his watch. 35 accounted for? The foreman nods. 35. Any losses? 1 expired in transit. Crow exhales. That's a deduction. The body is dragged aside. It will be thrown into the river on departure. The Thames keeps many secrets. Below deck, the air is thick. The lanterns barely reach the corners of the hold. Rows of hammocks sway gently, not for comfort, for storage. Eleanor wakes to the sound of waves, not crashing, slapping, the slow rhythm of open water. Her mouth is dry, her limbs ache. She tries to move. The straps hold her. She smells salt, oil, human breath. She hears someone sobbing nearby. A man whispers a prayer. The ship creaks. A bell rings above. The engines engage. The Mercy of Albion pulls away from the dock. London recedes. No one on board looks back. Inspector Ashcroft wakes in a warehouse. His head throbs. His wrists are bound. The room smells of rope and rust. A single lantern hangs overhead. Crow stands nearby. "You're persistent," Crow says. Ashcroft tests the rope. "Well tied. Experience." "Where are they taking them?" Crow smiles faintly. Where they're needed. You're selling people. I'm supplying labor. Ashcroft laughs once, short, bitter. History will hang you. Crow steps closer. History is written by factories. He turns. Take him to the river. Ashcroft is dragged outside. The fog is thick again. A boat waits at the pier. The men move quickly, efficiently. Ashcroft struggles. One of them presses a pistol into his ribs. Don't! They push him into the boat. It pulls away. The city fades into mist. When they reach the center of the river, they stop. The rope is cut. Ashcroft is shoved forward. The water closes over him. The Thames accepts him. The Mercy of Albion reaches open sea by dawn. The crew begins their routine. Food is passed down, water rationed, roll call taken, numbers are checked, no names. Eleanor lies still. She watches the beams above her. She listens to the ocean. She counts her breaths. Somewhere, far behind her, a city is waking. Somewhere ahead, a future is being prepared. The ship does not care which is which. The sun rises. The fog burns away. London vanishes beyond the horizon. The empire expands, and the trade continues. Where the empire eats. The factories do not sleep. They hum. They breathe steam and smoke. They swallow coal and men. They exhale iron and cloth and wealth. They rise at the edge of cities like fortresses, their chimneys taller than church spires, their windows glowing long after sunset. These buildings do not ask where you came from. They only ask if you can still stand. The Mercy of Albion docks at dawn. Not in London, further north, where the river narrows and the air smells of ash. The port is smaller, quieter, no crowds, no questions. The gangplank lowers. Men with ledgers wait. No uniforms, no insignia, only boots and gloves. The hatches open. The hold exhales. Bodies are lifted out. Some walk, some are carried. All are counted. Numbers become contracts. Crow's representative signs the papers. Payment is made in gold sovereigns. No receipts, no witnesses. The empire accepts delivery. Eleanor is given new clothes, rough cotton, heavy boots. Her hair is cut short, not for cleanliness, for safety. She is marched with the others through the gates. The factory looms above them. 6 floors, hundreds of windows, every one of them lit. Inside, the noise is constant. Belts turning, hammers striking, steam roaring through pipes. The floor vibrates beneath their feet. The air tastes of oil and dust. A foreman shouts, "Line up!" They obey. A doctor inspects them, not to heal, to measure. He checks teeth, spine, hands. Weak ones are sent left. Strong ones go right. Eleanor is sent right. The dormitory is long. Rows of bunks. 1 blanket per person. A bell rings. "Up at 5. Another bell. "Lights out." The doors lock. No one speaks. They are too tired. The first night passes in coughs and whispers. The second in silence. By the third, no one dreams. The mill runs 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. The machines do not slow. The belts do not stop. If a hand is caught, it is cut free. If a body collapses, it is dragged aside. The line continues. Eleanor learns her station. She feeds fabric into a spinning frame, over and over. The thread sings, the wheel screams. The overseer watches. If she slows, he taps his stick. If she looks up, he taps again. The The noise becomes her world. It erases thought. It erases time. Some try to run. They are brought back. Some refuse to work. They are locked away. Some disappear. No one asks where. The factory eats them. It is always hungry. Weeks pass, then months. Faces change, names fade, only numbers remain. Eleanor becomes Unit 47. She answers only to bells. She measures life by shifts. She no longer remembers the sound of streets. Far away, the Thames flows on. The tunnels still run. The ships still sail. The warehouses still fill. London continues to supply. The empire continues to consume. And the trade remains invisible. Because empires are not built by kings. They are built by bodies. The ones who remember. Empires are built on forgetting. Forgetting who dug the tunnels. Forgetting who loaded the ships. Forgetting who never came home. The machines do not remember. The ledgers do not remember. The factories do not remember. But people do. And that is why they are dangerous. In a narrow room above a print shop in Whitechapel, a woman sits at a small desk and writes. Her name is Margaret Bell. She is not a journalist. She is not a politician. She is not a detective. She is a sister. Her brother, Samuel, vanished on a foggy night 6 months ago. Dock worker, quiet man, never missed Sunday dinner. He walked home. He never arrived. The police closed the file in 3 weeks. Probably left the city, they said. Men do that. Margaret did not believe them, so she began to listen. She walks the streets at night, not like a hunter, like a neighbor. She talks to landladies, to publicans, to shopkeepers. She learns which streets empty too quickly after dark, which lamps go out too often, which alleys people avoid without knowing why. She writes everything down, dates, times, names. And when names run out, she writes descriptions. Brown coat, scar on cheek, walks with limp, carries tin lunchbox. The notebook grows thick. Patterns emerge, always near the river, always near breweries, always near warehouses, always at night. In Manchester, Eleanor hears a whisper, not from a guard, not from a foreman, from another worker. A woman with gray in her hair and coal in her lungs. They're looking for you, the woman murmurs as they wait in line for water. Eleanor stiffens. Who? People who write names. Eleanor does not respond. She has learned silence, but the idea settles inside her. Names. She has not heard one in months. That night, in the dormitory, the woman speaks again. They say there are lists. Where? In London, in Liverpool, in Glasgow. Who keeps them? Those who remember. Eleanor lies awake long after the lights go out. She tries to remember her own name. It comes slowly, like a word from a forgotten language. Margaret Bell receives a letter. No address, no signature, only 3 words. Blackwell Street, Brewery, midnight. She reads it twice, then a 3rd time. She burns it in the stove and writes the words in her notebook. At Blackwell Street, the warehouse still stands. Boards on the windows, chains on the doors. But Margaret sees the tracks in the mud, the scuffs near the wall, the marks where carts turn. She waits. The fog thickens. A door opens. Men emerge. A cart rolls forward. Margaret steps back into shadow. She watches the cargo being moved. She sees wrists bound. She sees faces slack with drugs. She counts. 22. She memorizes the foreman's face. She memorizes the guard with the broken nose. She memorizes the man who gives the orders. Crow. She does not know his name yet, but she will. The train moves below the city. The ship sails. The factory receives. And somewhere, in a room full of ink and paper, names are written down. Not numbers, names. And names are heavier than coal. One morning, the overseer calls Eleanor forward. She stands before him. He studies her file. Unit 47. Pack your things. Her heart stutters. Where am I going? Transfer. Where? Doesn't matter. She is led out of the line, taken to the office. A man waits there. Not a foreman, not a guard. A stranger. He wears a clean coat. He carries a ledger. He looks at her. Really looks. What's your name? He asks. She hesitates, then answers. Eleanor Price. The man closes the ledger. Good, he says quietly, because someone is looking for you. The empire continues to eat, but now, somewhere inside it, memory is spreading, slowly, quietly, like a crack in iron. The first door that opens. The factory does not like questions. It prefers obedience, routine, predictability. It prefers bodies that move when bells ring and stop when bells ring again. It does not like names. So when Eleanor Price is called by her name, not her number, the air itself seems to tighten. The man in the clean coat waits in the office. He is not young, not old, the kind of man who blends into crowds. His hands are ink-stained. His eyes are sharp. Sit, he says. Eleanor obeys. He closes the door, locks it, then lowers his voice. Your brother Samuel is on a list. Her heart stops. I don't have a brother, she says automatically. Dock worker, London, Wapping. Her breath leaves her. She grips the edge of the chair. He vanished 6 months ago, the man continues. So did 17 others. Same streets, same nights. He opens his ledger. Not a factory ledger, a different kind. Names fill the pages, addresses, dates, notes in the margins. He was taken through Blackwell Street, brewery entrance, tunnel line C. Eleanor stares. How do you know this? The man closes the book. Because we follow the shipments. That night, Eleanor is moved. Not to another dormitory, not to another line. She is taken through a side gate, into a wagon, covered with tarpaulin. 2 guards ride in front. The man in the clean coat sits beside her. He does not speak. The city passes unseen. After an hour, the wagon stops. She is led into a building, downstairs, through iron doors, into a room filled with paper. Maps cover the walls. Strings connect locations. Pins mark streets. warehouses, breweries, docks. Names are written everywhere. This is not a factory. This is a war room. Margaret Bell stands at the central table. She looks older than when Eleanor last saw her. Thinner, harder, but her eyes are burning. She steps forward. Eleanor Price? Eleanor nods. Margaret exhales. We thought you were gone. Who are you? Someone who writes names. Margaret gestures to the wall. These are the routes, the tunnels, the ships, the mills. Why are you doing this? Margaret answers simply, because they erased my brother. Silence falls. Then Margaret adds, and because if we don't stop them, London will never stop feeding them. Inspector Ashcroft wakes in a cellar. Water drips from the ceiling. His ribs ache, but he is alive. A miracle. Margaret sits beside him. You should be dead, he says. So should a lot of people, she replies. She hands him a cup. Drink. He does. What do you have? She opens a drawer. Inside, Crow's ledger, the real one, shipping routes, payments, names. Ashcroft closes his eyes. You've built a case. No, Margaret says. We've built a map. Of what? Of the Empire's shadow. That night, the warehouse on Blackwell Street burns. Not by accident. The brewery entrance collapses. The tunnel floods. 2 trains derail. A ship departs without cargo. Crow watches from a rooftop. His jaw tightens. Someone is opening doors. And once doors are open, they do not close easily. London feels it. The streets hum differently. The fog seems thinner. People walk with their heads slightly higher. The city has not changed, but something inside it has. The pattern is breaking. Eleanor stands on the rooftop. She watches smoke rise. For the first time, she whispers, I can see the sky. Margaret nods. Then let's make sure others can too. Because the Empire only survives in silence. And silence is finally cracking. The night the river spoke. The Thames has always carried London's secrets. It has carried ash from burned houses, blood from slaughter yards, ink from ruined books, and bodies from crimes that never reached courtrooms. The river never asks. It remembers. And sometimes, when the weight grows too heavy, it returns what it has been given. The night after Blackwell Street burned, the fog does not come. The sky is clear. The moon hangs low. The water reflects every lantern along the embankment. People say the river looks restless. They say it moves differently. They say it smells wrong. At berth 14, the Mercy of Albion returns. Empty. No cargo. No manifests. Only crew. The dock workers whisper, She came back too soon. She should still be north. No hold inspection logged. The harbor master frowns. Open the hatches. The crew hesitates. Crow is not there. That is noted. The hatch is lifted. The smell escapes first. Then the sound. A man coughs. Someone retches. Inside the hold, tied to the beams, lie the ones who did not make it. Not drowned, not beaten. Left. Forgotten. The river has delivered them back. By midnight, the docks are sealed. Police lanterns cut through the dark. Boats patrol the water. Constables line the piers. The crowd gathers anyway. London always gathers. They watch as bodies are lifted out. They watch as blankets are placed. They watch as numbers are read aloud. Someone in the crowd begins to cry. Someone else whispers a name. Then another. Then another. Margaret stands among them, her notebook open, her pen shaking. She writes as fast as she can. For the first time, London is watching itself. Crow sits alone in a private room above a public house. The ledger lies open on the table. Half the routes are gone. The tunnels are compromised. The warehouse is ash. The river has spoken. He pours himself a drink, does not taste it. The empire is not angry, not yet, but it is listening. And when the empire listens, men like Crow are expendable. Inspector Ashcroft walks the embankment. He watches the bodies being carried. He recognizes two faces. One is Thomas Hale, the dock worker, the first street, the first shadow. Ashcroft removes his hat. Around him, others do the same. No order is given, no bell rings. London stands still. For a moment, Eleanor watches from a bridge. The moonlight paints the river silver. She grips the railing. "I was supposed to be there," she says. Margaret nods. "So were Minnie." Eleanor exhales. "But they came back." Margaret closes her notebook. "Yes," she says, "and now the city cannot pretend." The Thames flows on, but it is no longer silent. It has returned what was taken, and London, for the first time, is forced to look down. The Empire answers. Empires do not apologize. They correct. They silence. They replace. They rebuild the machinery and oil it with fear. When the river returned the bodies, London whispered. When the docks were sealed, London watched. But when the factories slowed, when the shipments failed, when the prophets hesitated, the empire answered. By morning, Blackwell Street is cordoned off. The burned warehouse is declared unsafe. The brewery is closed for inspection. The tunnel collapse is blamed on age and negligence. 3 dock workers are arrested. 2 guards disappear. 1 foreman is found floating near Limehouse. The papers speak of accidents, of isolated incidents, of unfortunate events. They do not speak of trade. They do not speak of tunnels. They do not speak of ships without manifests, because empires prefer simple stories. Margaret reads the headlines at dawn. Her hands tremble. "They're cleaning it," she says. Ashcroft nods. They always do. The room is quieter now. Half the maps are gone, burned the night before. Too dangerous to keep, too easy to find. But Crow's ledger remains, locked in a steel box beneath the floor. The last truth. Eleanor stands at the window. She watches patrols march the street. She sees new locks on old doors. She sees men watching corners. "They're hunting," she whispers. Ashcroft loads his revolver. "Yes," he says, "and we're on the list now." Crow walks into a private office near Westminster. not the docks, not the warehouses. Here, the carpets are thick. The walls are paneled. The men inside wear tailored coats. No boots, no gloves, only rings. Crow removes his hat. "They've broken the chain," he says. A man behind the desk folds his hands. "Then build a new one. The tunnels are compromised. Dig new ones. The docks are watched. Move the ports. The names are leaking." The man smiles. "Then erase them." That night, Margaret's print shop burns. Not loudly, not spectacularly, just enough. The presses are destroyed, the notebooks gone, the floor soaked in ink and ash. A message. She stands in the street and watches the smoke rise, her life's work dissolving into the sky. "They think this ends it," she says. Ashcroft puts a hand on her shoulder. "They think fear still works." At the mill, guards arrive. New ones, not factory men, uniformed. Eleanor is pulled from the line. She is questioned. Names are demanded. She gives none. A man slaps her. Another writes. They do not threaten. They assume. The empire does not need truth. It needs obedience. And it is very good at teaching it. But the river has already spoken. The streets have already remembered. And some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again. Crow stands on the embankment. He watches the water move. He feels eyes on his back. For the first time, the hunter feels the city behind him. London is no longer just watching. It is choosing. When the city wakes. London has always been a city that survives by looking forward. It builds over its ruins, paves over its graves, names its bridges after victories, and forgets the bodies beneath them. It is very good at moving on. But there are nights when moving on becomes impossible. Nights when the fog does not hide, when the river does not carry away, when the streets remember too much. And on those nights, London wakes. The bells ring before dawn, not church bells, factory bells, dock bells, warning bells. They echo across the river and through the streets. Workers stop mid-step, carriages slow. Shopkeepers look up from their shutters. Something is wrong. At the docks, a crowd has gathered, not summoned, drawn. The river is low, lower than it should be, and along the muddy banks, where the water has retreated, objects lie half-buried. Boots, coats, ropes, and bodies. Dozens of them, some old, some recent, all returned. The Thames has emptied its memory. Police try to push the crowd back. They fail, because the crowd is no longer afraid. A woman steps forward. She recognizes a face. A man shouts a name. Someone drops to their knees, and then, as if a spell has broken, London begins to speak. That's my brother. That's my husband. She worked at the laundry. He never came home. The river has given them back, and now the city cannot deny them. Crow watches from across the street. No hat, no gloves. He does not blend anymore. He is seen. He turns, begins to walk. The crowd parts, not for him, against him. Someone grabs his coat. Another points. That's one of them. Crow runs, but London is wide and not kind to the hunted. He disappears into the streets, And for the first time, he is the one being followed. Margaret stands on the embankment with Eleanor and Ashcroft. They watch the river in silence. "We did not save them," Eleanor whispers. "No," Margaret says, "but we brought them home." Ashcroft removes his hat again. "Sometimes," he says, "that is all a city can do." By noon, the papers are printing. Not accidents, not misfortune. Names, lists, routes. The tunnels are exposed, the warehouses seized, the docks raided. Men vanish, but not into the fog, into cells, into records, into history. Factories continue, ships still sail. Empires do not fall in a day. But something has changed. Now the streets remember. Now the river is watched. Now the doors are marked. And the fog no longer belongs only to those who use it. That evening, Eleanor walks alone for the first time in a year. The street is narrow, the lamps glow softly. The city hums around her. She listens, not for footsteps, for life. She reaches the end of the street and turns. The fog gathers, but it does not close in. Not anymore. London does not become innocent. It never will. But it becomes aware. And awareness is dangerous. For those who build empires in silence. Because once a city wakes, it never truly sleeps again.